Yeah. Oh, are we live?
We are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for real this time. I am Dr. Chris. This is Bill Apter. How are you, my brother?
And yes, we are. I'm good. Good to talk to you. And I just, I'm looking at the comments, and somebody brought something up immediately that I was going to talk about.
Let's do it.
Finished getting through with the first episode of Vice TV's Who Killed WCW. My goodness, it's such a trip back in nostalgia that when we were channel turning with the remote or the cable box and all that from WWE to WCW, and then eventually, you were spending more time with WCW. But my goodness, the things that they showed and just how everything took place from that Mall of America with Lex Luger showing up to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. And then the big thing that changed wrestling forever was Hulk Hogan with the leg drop on Randy Savage that created the NWO. Oh my God. The people who are young enough not to have seen that live, and you see it now, it doesn't mean as much to those people, but when you saw that live, there was never, even to this day, anything that replicated that particular time in history. You agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you've been in the business for a long time. Would you say that was the best heel turn of all time?
Maybe the second best.
Okay. What do you say the first one is?
Larry Zbyszko turning against Bruno Sammartino. Remember, I'm old. No one expected it.
The teacher-student angle, right? He was
but wrestling wasn't as big back then because it wasn't on cable. People saw it on their local TV shows and stuff like that. But back then, that had the same impact on a lower TV audience than Hulk Hogan did. Yeah, but the Hogan turn was, changed history. What about you? Was that like the best heel turn you've ever seen? And do you remember another heel turn that moved you?
I do. So I think there's Zabisco and San Martino. I would say top 5, but I think the 2 most pivotal heel turns in pro wrestling history, as far as just the level of, even now, as far as impact, as far as just like kind of what they still show nowadays. I think number 1 is Hogan turning, because I think that had such, I mean, that was 28 years ago. Isn't that crazy that next month will be
Yeah.
28 years that
Hulk
it's been?
Hogan, though. Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Hogan was a babyface for 12, 13 years before this turn. So I think that there was number 1 as far as impact and just a pivotal moment in pro wrestling history. I think off the top of my head, as a number 2 would probably be Michael's turn on Jannetty.
Yeah, I
think
think
that was
yeah,
another
I
pivotal
think
moment.
that had a large impact, but it doesn't roll off the top of my head. Again, I'm looking in the comments, and back from the old days, there's Spiros Arion against Chief Jay Strongbow would be probably on my top 5
Nice.
also.
Nice.
Now, I thought there was a heel turn coming last week.
Between?
When AJ Styles did the whole retirement thing,
Mhm.
and Cody kept holding AJ's arms up and having people cheer, I was waiting for the unexpected. I was waiting, and his merchandise would have gone in the toilet, but I was waiting for Cody to clothesline AJ Styles. And I've
Really?
talked to people, and they say everybody was thinking the same thing.
Oh, there's absolutely no way in the world I would have. I thought that. There's no way in the
Well,
world
that's it.
I would
If
have
that
that.
would have been unexpected, that would have been like a holy SH moment the next
Now I
day.
like that. I
Yeah.
like that idea, but the WWE, man, it just seems as if, because there's such a money promotion nowadays, man, they're all about dollars and dollars and dollars.
Yeah.
They just gotta they play it safe quite a bit, and those types of turns, man, that would kill his merch, like you said, his that would
Right.
kill his
That's what
merch.
definitely.
Uh, and so, I don't think that they would have done that. But if Cody would have turned, I think if Cody would make the turn, I don't think you do it on AJ, because AJ was already getting heat. So I like the
Yeah,
idea of a Cody turn.
nobody expected it. It was
Yeah,
it was so
but AJ
perfectly
still,
laid out.
but AJ's a heel though. If you want to do I like the idea of a Cody turn. I've said this many
Oh, wait.
times.
AJ's a heel, but that night the
Yeah,
fans were reacting to him like a baby face.
yeah, but
They
he's
were
still,
believing
but
this.
he was still a heel though. If he returned, so he retired, and so Cody turned on him. So does he come out of retirement and say, "I'm just kidding," just to be a babyface again? And AJ doesn't really want to be that type
No, he
of
says, I can't
person.
retire after this. I can't do this.
Yeah,
I can't
no,
believe that.
no.
Well, just
I
it's
think if
hypothetical.
Cody turns, I like the idea though. Like I like
Yeah,
the idea of a Cody turn. I've been saying this. I think Cody's just better as a heel. Um,
yes,
and
yeah.
I think if he's going to make that turn, make it really count and make it against someone who's way over now, and start a long program, man. But the problem is, who is that person? Like who's like a top baby face on SmackDown that Cody could turn on to start a long feud with?
Now, I always say, I hate to say this, but I never use turn on. I always say turn against. Because when I hear like so and so turned on so and so, it has wrong implications there. I'm sorry. But anyway,
Personal
folks,
preference. That's okay.
yeah, but I guess he could do it with LA Knight. We bring LA Knight back up a little bit there because he's kind of,
That may work. That may work.
yeah.
Yeah, that may work. LA Knight, man, his stock is just going down the tank, man. Why
I
do you think that's the
know.
case?
What's that?
Why do you think that's the case, man?
Did just no one to put him with. right now. They took him from like top tier to middle tier.
Yeah.
It's like they're not sure what to do with him. But I've got something else I wanted to bring to this program tonight.
All
That
right.
that this is unscripted, and this is something ticking me off.
All right.
And you know I don't get angry a lot. I wanted Rick Steiner's son, Bron Breakker, to be the current incarnation of a Goldberg. You can't knock this guy down. This guy's Mike Tyson, the one punch spear. So we got him against Ricochet, an injured Ricochet
Yeah.
on
Taped up
Monday
Ricochet.
Night
Yes.
Raw.
Yes.
Injured.
Yes.
Got bandages on,
Yes.
band-aids and all this.
50-50.
Injured.
Yeah.
Injured.
Yes.
And the match lasted about 10 minutes with
Yes.
a commercial.
Yes.
Bron Breakker should have gone in, looked at him, boom, spear, 1, 2, 3, Goldberg finish. Bron Breakker was getting killed for a lot of that. And then at the end, to add insult to injury, another small guy compared to Bron Breakker, Dragunov, punches him near the guardrail, and Bron Breakker goes over the barrier into the audience, running off like this. What the heck?
Yeah. I
What'd they
agree with
do?
you 100%, Bill. I do. I think that was a really, really bad call. I think you have to figure out, I say this all the time, who's over here. Like when every segment, who's over, who's the one getting over. And I think at the end of the day, there's absolutely no reason to maintain to protect Ricochet in that segment. Zero reason to protect Ricochet.
Correct.
If Bron Breakker is the one that you really want to push, you've already pushed Ricochet. He's already been U.S. champ. He's already been Intercontinental champ. He doesn't need to be protected. And if anything, it helps Bron Breakker if he just completely plows through him, because it shows that someone who, is in competition in the WWE, like a la Ricochet, is getting plowed through by Bron Breakker, which would show that he's no nonsense. He means business. And he's definitely some loose cannon that Adam Pearce can't control. How in the world can you be? How in the world can you try to be a loose cannon and then get a 50-50 match against Ricochet?
Yeah, and it's just the fact that my newsletter that comes out to the Sportskeeda. I don't want to use universe, to the Sportskeeda-verse. We'll call it that.
I call it the SK Nation.
Yeah, so to the SK Nation, the people that subscribe to it, my lead story is a rant of is it a broken breaker? Because I just don't understand what's going on there. Now, in the other thing, Monday Night Raw, and I'm going to say this again, I think that the world champion, Damien. Well, wait, let me go back this way. So what happens with Bron Breakker right now? He gets into this program with Dragunov, who's another smaller guy. You don't want to kill Dragunov off because you've been having him built up. So what do you do with him? And is there interest in Dragunov against Bron Breakker? I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Well, they're going against each other on Raw next week.
I know. But is there interest in that?
No, there's no build to it. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to be another 50-50 match, just like Ricochet and Bron Breakker is. And you can't have another 50-50 match. And you just had one against Ricochet with Bron Breakker. It just kills us.
It's got to be a squash.
Yeah,
it's got to be a squash.
But they're not going to do that. They're going to protect Ilya Dragunov, though.
Well, because Breakker's with and you can't wait for him to get in there and Goldberg the guy. Just really.
I like Ilya Dragunov. I think I think that I actually think that match between Dragunov and Braun could have been much more appealing if there was a story behind it, other than just throwing in just throwing it in a match on Raw. I don't understand that, man. Like I said before, when you're throwing together matches every week just for matches' sake, and you're not bringing us a story behind it, it's killing the element of mystique. Like the point of pro wrestling is to suspend disbelief, is to give us the element of mystique. If you're just throwing matches out there with no story, no build, you're not really perceiving the person to be larger
no,
than life.
it's a match.
It makes them,
It's a
yeah,
match.
it's just a match.
Yeah, everything's trying to build to the pay-per-views and the PLEs. And I really want to see Bron Breakker at the top of the list in a main event in a PLE, so they can't keep doing this with him.
I agree.
I mean, Bron Breakker against Drew McIntyre would be a killer match. It really would. But
If
I'm not
there's
so
a story,
sure now.
again, I don't care about matches being thrown together. I don't care about it, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen? You're going to, like, matches are scripted, matches are choreographed, they're predetermined, they're all that. But you have to suspend my disbelief. If you're just throwing a match together just for the sake of a match with no story.
Well, was it more believable to have Bron Breakker take a beating from Ricochet? Was it like, oh, Ricochet's really coming back, and wow, I can't believe that Bron Breakker's having a tough time with him?
Yeah.
What's the mentality there?
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think that at the end of the day, man, man, you got to give me a story, man. You got to give me a story, because otherwise it takes away the element of mystique when it comes to these wrestlers. And just a simple 2 to 3 week thing, like, give us. I think I say this before. I say this a lot when it comes to a lot of the pro wrestling culture, and as far as the creative and the booking is concerned, they're giving us a microwave booking with oven expectations. They're not allowing things to cook and simmer and really spend the time in the oven. And give us some time, man. Build it up. Don't give us.
Well,
this
you know what they're doing. You know what they're doing, and I love it.
What's that?
The whole situation with Chad Gable.
I do like Gable. Yeah, Gable.
He's killing it. He's killing it. He's absolutely killing it. You know, it's almost like he's a junior Kurt Angle, so to say. That's the way I look at him. But his chatter, his promos, the way his facial expressions are toward Otis and Tozawa and what's her name?
Maxine Dupree.
Maxine. His facial expressions are. He's perfect in that role. He's absolutely perfect. So when you talk about a story, the eventual turn, well, he's done the turn, but the eventual match against Otis is the fans are craving Otis to be a baby face again now. They're craving this. They did it a long time ago, and then they just pulled out the rug after that Money in the Bank win. They pulled out the rug from under him, and now years later they're trying it again. And I hope they do something strong with this. Chad Gable's got to get the title off of Sami Zayn, and then I think Otis has to go after it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Yeah, I think that's the angle with Otis and Mandy Rose. The bigger emphasis is more on Mandy than it was Otis. So it kind of took the luster away from Otis in a sense, because you had this hot chick that Otis was pursuing. The end goal was Mandy Rose. So she was the one who was the object of, Otis's affection. Otis gets her, and now it was still kind of Mandy Rose taking at least half of that pop there. Probably more even in that pop. Now it's just Otis. It's just Otis by himself. He doesn't need to rely on, Mandy Rose to get over in that sense. And they're cooking it, just like I said.
Absolutely, they're cooking it very well.
Let it cook.
It's boiling.
And so I like it. I like the cooking. You got to give us those those oven moments, those boiling moments, those hot oven cooking moments, and it's boiling up, and now it's about to tip over. And that psychologically, as a psychology doctor, I think about things that way.
I know
Gotta
you
give
do.
us spurts, man. You got to give us spurts. If you give us everything at once, there's nothing to expect. There's nothing
Right.
better to expect
Exactly.
the next
Exactly.
week. Got to give us those cliffhangers. I do think we'll see Otis versus Gable sooner than later. What
I
I
hope
would
so.
like to see, I would like to see Otis win a singles championship, man.
Well,
I would
that's
like to
why I
see.
think that Gable beats Sami Zayn,
I agree. I
and
think he
then
will be
Otis
Sami
beats.
Zayn. Yes. Mhm.
Can you, by the way, something we forgot to do? Can you let these terrific fans know that if they want to get in immediately
Yeah.
with their questions, what to do?
Yeah, super chat. I'm seeing
Yeah.
some really good conversation over here.
Yeah.
And shoot us a super chat and we'll ask your question immediately. Otherwise, I'll look over here and see what we can talk about. But yeah, it's unscripted. So let's finish this Otis and Gable. So Otis Gable, do you see that SummerSlam? Do you see that Survivor Series? Where do you go?
I see Gable, Sami Zayn maybe as on SummerSlam,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
that Gable gets the title.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Otis, then Gable kills Tozawa in a match. Absolutely destroys
Sure.
Tozawa.
Sure.
Makes Otis even angrier.
Yeah. You compare him to Kurt Angle. I think that's that's kind of like a fail-safe thing to say, but it's a bit apples and oranges to me because
Good. Yeah. I just
um,
when I look at him, I think Kurt
the
Angle.
Olympic comparison, yes,
Yeah.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's one of those things that I think what they're doing with I think what they're doing with Gable is like this menacing kind of cult leader in a sense, and Angle's never
Yeah.
had that type of element to him.
Well,
I
no,
like it.
it's the whole Olympic thing and the whole, with the ankle lock, and it's just
Sure. But as far as the gimmicks are
nothing.
concerned, but as far as Angle is concerned or character is concerned, I think, and I do like the fact that this is so different than Angle because if Gable was continued to be compared as like a light version of Kurt Angle, he'll still be under that shadow. But he's doing things that are so different than what Kurt Angle was doing character wise. And you got to give it to we interviewed Gable and Otis last year, and
Yes.
just to stand both of them stand up guys.
Yeah.
And you just gotta if you think of the career trajectory so far of Gable in the WWE, this guy this guy has really went through so many fires and coming out like a diamond, man, because the team with Jason Jordan, that
Yeah.
went from
Yeah.
NXT
Yeah.
to the main roster. That was split up. Jason Jordan did his thing with being Kurt Angle's son, and he unfortunately had a career-ending injury. Now he's an agent backstage, which is wonderful. I mean, Gable went through Shorty G. Like
It takes so long for
just
somebody
went
to click
through. Yeah, he
sometimes.
just went through
Yeah, and
so
it's
many
great.
different
It's
incarnations.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. Now, got another question to ask you.
Yeah,
Right?
real quick, I was going to say that this Alpha Academy thing is like 4 years old, and so
Yeah,
now
but
it's clicking the way that it
it's
is
great
now.
because it's looking brand new.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
looking
yeah.
brand new.
It's
So
a different layer to it, which is great.
let's look at the PLE coming up.
Yep.
Two scenarios. Drew McIntyre wins the title, scenario number one.
Okay.
Then CM Punk is back in again. We get that match. Okay. I'm not sure right now if CM Punk's value is as high as it was a few months ago because they're barely even talking about him on TV.
Exactly.
That's scenario number one. Number two, if Damian Priest retains the title somehow, which could be a Punk interference or something like that, what happens with Damian Priest next? Who is the guy standing in line? Is he going to turn against the rest of Judgment Day, and then we get Damian Priest versus Dom Dom. Then we get Damian Priest against Finn Balor. Where do you see this on both counts here? Both counts.
So Judgment Day is such a lifeless faction that him against anyone in Judgment Day would just not have any type of star power to it. Wouldn't have any type of billboard appeal to it at all. I mean, if he went against Balor, Dominic, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. It just wouldn't have that appeal to it. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, Gunther's still in the wings. He won the King of the Ring, so he has that automatic title shot at SummerSlam.
I want to stop you just for a sec.
Go ahead.
Gunther winning King of the Ring, whether it was legal or not. I am so glad to see, because he's a real wrestler, that he's got the crown, but they didn't do the whole thing with the cape and the scepter and the whole made him into shtick. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So what I think is going to happen, I think that they're going to integrate Gunther and Orton in a triple threat against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. Okay. I think that, because Gunther is supposed to go for the World Heavyweight Championship, but I think these kind of controversial finish is going to tie into a triple threat match, which would be interesting. It'll be an interesting thing.
So you think that Damian Priest would go against who if he gets past?
I don't think Damian Priest is going to win in Scotland.
Okay. I don't either, but in the event they have CM Punk come down the ramp and do a distraction thing.
Yeah, I mean, that means it's Priest versus Gunther. And to me, there's no appeal to that either, with no story behind it. You've got two heels. You've got two people that, I mean, they started off Raw last week and it was flat. I mean, the crowd didn't cheer either one of them. So it will be really, that was a sign of, things to come, as far as them being flat, because the fans, they didn't connect with either one of them. They didn't cheer either one of them because both of them are heels. So I do think what she'll do, if Priest wins, I think somehow we'll get a Finn versus Priest thing. I don't see Priest staying heel. I mean, I'm staying babyface. I do see Priest staying heel. I think what they could do is Finn go away, probably Demon Finn versus Priest, perhaps. That would have some appeal to it. But again, there's nothing about Priest versus Judgment Day that has any appeal to me for SummerSlam. So
they need to do Priest versus Cody in that case.
Well, champion versus champion?
Yeah.
How would that work?
I've got a mosquito here. I'm trying to get rid of.
Oh, no worries. How would they? Champion versus champion at SummerSlam?
No, anywhere. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, so where do they compete at? Cody versus Priest.
Apter's Alley.
Okay, that's your private match. Tickets at after what wrestling?
We've got a super chat waiting here.
let's go to Zubair. Awkward moment of Apter's Alley here. We got Zubair $5. Possible Roman Reigns return prediction. I think when SmackDown goes to USA and on SmackDown 25th anniversary, how WWE should plan the 25th anniversary. Yeah, so that'll be August. It will be the 25th anniversary. Roman Reigns return, sure. I mean, but at the same time, how do you integrate Roman Reigns and what you see of the current Bloodline storyline right now?
Yeah, that's good. Well, he's got to come back ticked off about everything that's going on. He's got to be ticked off at Paul Heyman. He's got to be just in the same vein as what you're asking me. And by the way, that's how should they plan the 25th anniversary? It's probably going to be a highlight show, I would think, but maybe Roman comes back. But all the promotion of Haku's sons being killers, and I've seen them in Japan, and they had that whole killer thing. But just like Bron Breakker, I'm kind of seeing that they are not being not living up to what the hype is
Yep.
for that. Am I the only one who's seeing this?
Nope, you're not.
Am I
And that's
sounding
something.
like Vince Russo tonight?
No, you sound like Bill Apter with an opinion, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I'm
With
telling you.
opinion, that's you're being a critic, and that's fine. Cisco and
Yeah, and
Ebert
I'm usually not
made
a
a living
critic.
doing
I like to talk about it, but there are things bugging me because
it. Yeah,
the hype
right.
that they're saying these guys are like murderers. They're
Yeah,
like, it's not happening.
I agree, man. I agree with you 100%. I think I don't know why WWE had this thing with taming people. I think it gets to a point where a lot of times when you bring people in, it's just some weird type of initiation type deal and see if sink or swim. I think it's kind of like a hazing in a sense, man. I'm not a big fan of it. It's just one of those things that you got to build people as killers, and perception is reality, man.
And I
Like
want to see that. I wanted to see
you
them,
got to build them as
like
killers,
Solo.
man.
Same thing with
Yeah.
Solo. Same
Now
thing with
you had
Solo.
Tama
He shouldn't
losing
be
to
beat.
Orton. You had was it Owens, and I saw a clip of Owens and the Street Profits
Yeah.
taking them out. It's just like
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
no, come
what are we doing
on.
here? What are we doing? Yeah, you got if they're not being billed as killers, why would you expect fans to perceive them as killers? You know what I mean? So you gotta bill how you want the fans to perceive them.
Yeah.
That's classic that's classic pro wrestling booking there. You got to build someone how you want them to be perceived.
They
So,
got to be as tough in the ring as their daddy was.
sure. Yeah,
They
absolutely.
really do. They
Yeah.
really do.
If they're being, I mean, they have a thing. I mean, they just cool people off. Is it? I mean, I don't know if it's just too many people, too many things that's going on, not enough dedication to really getting into stories that are consistent. The bloodline worked; it was organic. With the Sammy
Yeah.
thing, that worked. Just it cooled off tremendously. This new thing is different, but it's definitely not making Solo and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa look to the level of Roman Reigns. And they
They
all three of them have to be booked to look to the level of Roman Reigns, especially if Solo Sikoa just came from a 5-month, 30-match losing streak.
Yeah.
You're trying to make him look like a killer now. If he just lost for 5 straight months, you got to make him look stronger than what he is now.
Yeah, but it's just like I said. I just Bron Breakker and the Bloodline are supposed to be unbeatable.
Yes.
They are supposed to make the other guys run off.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Bro.
And again, this Kevin Owens has been there for a while, but he's going to make the same amount of money whether he wins or loses in this angle, in this segment, in this feud. And so, look, if he has to be a casualty to making Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa look better, so be it. I mean, like Kevin Owens doesn't need to be protected right now.
But has it gone too far already?
Yeah,
they've already beaten off.
Yes.
The Tongas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, my man. We got to wrap up. It was that quick. Yeah. Let the listeners know where to find things, all things Bill Apter.
Well, I'm at Apter One Wrestling, and if you haven't subscribed to my free newsletter, and if you liked what I did at the magazines, the newsletter is kind of like a copy of that, and it's growing. We're getting other columnists and stuff. Just go to Sportskeeda/newsletter and subscribe to the newsletter. Once a week, you'll get mine for free, and the other 6 days, 6 and 1 to 7, you'll get the rest from the great writing staff of Sportskeeda. It's great stuff.
Wonderful. Man, you definitely want to support all things Bill Apter because he is a legend in the business, ladies and gentlemen.
As Captain Lou Albano would say, I'm a legend in my own mind.
Yes, indeed. Brother. This guy right here is Bill Apter. I am Dr. Chris. Yes, indeed. This is Unscripted. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yes, indeed. Subscribe.